Hello everyone, welcome to the When at Work podcast. You're with the host Julian Lee. Today I'm joined by Micah Logan, Susanne Kos and Traci Austin. Welcome to the show, guests.
Hello.
Yes.
Everyone's excited. Everyone's pumped up. I need to calm everybody down. Today they are just full of energy, but we're going to calm them down. We're going to get into the game. And are you ready to play Jeopardy? Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Load up the board. Micah, you're on the left. I'll just read out the categories: medical history, mushrooms, amusement parks. These are in the United States, Susan, so they won't be much
Not
help
mine.
to you. City nicknames, again in the United States, astronomy and animals. So there's only two really US-centric categories. Micah, what would you like? You can kick things off.
Let's go with medical history.
Medical history, I'll say for 100. It was used as a medicine from 600 BC until the 2nd century AD when people began to wash with it.
Let's go with soap. What is soap?
Soap is correct. Well done, Micah. You're on the board for 100. You're in control. The way it works, guests, if you know the answer, you can just holler out the answer. And if you get it correct, you will take over and be in control of the board. Micah is in control now. What would you like next?
Let's go for city nicknames for 200.
City nicknames for 200. Big D.
What is Dallas?
Dallas. I could just hear my boys chuckling when I said that. Adjusted score. I've got to give you some points there. You're on 200 now. Let's see if that works. No, you're on 300. All right, bear with me. Professional outfit, this, isn't it? All right, Micah, what would you like?
Let's go animals for 200.
Animals for 200. Owls are among the few birds to have these on the front of their heads.
The eyes.
The eyes? Was that Suzanne?
Yes.
Suzanne is correct. Well done, Suzanne. You're in control. What would you like?
Oh, I go ahead with the animals.
Go with the animals. For 100, we'll do. Part of its body where you will find a warthog's warts. Where does a warthog have warts?
Oh my goodness.
I'll give you a clue. It's probably the worst place to have warts.
The butt.
The butt? That'd be fine. No one would see that on me. What did you say, Micah?
Is it their eyes?
I said on the bum as well.
And Traci, you said eyes?
Yes.
It's actually the face is what we were looking for. Suzanne, you're still in control.
Yeah, let's go with animals again. 300.
Animals for 300. Most lampreys live by attaching themselves to these. You get these in Europe.
Not really. Lampreys.
Yeah, you get them in like Eastern European countries in the cold lakes. And they're horrific is what they are.
I don't know, like these blood eagles or something
They're
like
kind
that.
of like leeches, but they're fish. There's a clue for you.
I don't know the
What is
English name. It's
fish?
like a blood eagle.
Micah,
They-
what did
they
you say?
stick on me.
What is bigger fish?
Okay. Exactly. Well done, Micah. Yeah, they got these round sucker mouths and they latch on, and they're the stuff of nightmares. Micah, what would you like?
Let's go back to medical history for 200.
Medical history for 200. Karl Wunderlich, introduced the use of this instrument to modern medicine in the 1850s, not 1898. I don't know what that is. So some sort of instrument that Karl Wunderlich, Susanna, correct my pronunciation.
Wunderlich.
Wunderlich. So, an instrument, modern medicine, 1850s. What was the instrument? Micah, I heard you say something.
Stethoscope.
Stethoscope, okay. Micah. It was not. It was a thermometer, but that was a very good answer. You're still in control, Micah.
So my temperature didn't count.
What was that?
I said temperature, so that didn't count.
Oh, well, I didn't hear that. I'm going to give you that. That was 200 points. Let me just adjust your score.
I will learn to use the outside voice. How does that sound?
Yeah, I'm a little bit deaf. I actually did a test online, and it said my hearing was like 70-year-old's hearing. Because I stood next to the speakers at the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert. Traci, what would you like?
Let's do astronomy for 300.
Astronomy for 300. It was founded in 1904 by George Ellery Hale in the mountains above Pasadena, California. And we're in astronomy, so it's some sort of either star, planet, or constellation. George Ellery Hale. The surname is a clue. I think
the Hale Planetarium.
Sorry, what was that, Micah?
Is the Hale Planetarium?
Wow, could be. Anybody else got a guess?
Yeah, I would have said a huge telescope.
A huge telescope. I was going to say Halley's Comet, but I don't. I'm very stupid, so it could be wrong. It was the Mount Wilson Observatory. Is that the one you're talking about, Micah?
No, but I think the other guest said it. Observatory.
Yeah, I said observatory. Because I believe it was, there was a telescope, I live in Wisconsin, and there is the Yerkes Observatory, and I think that there was some connection there.
Well, if you said observatory, that's good enough for me. What would you like next?
Let's do astronomy for 400.
Astronomy for 400. A red giant star has exhausted all of this element used as fuel in its core. What does a star use as fuel?
Carbon?
Carbon, that's a good answer. My guess would be...
Is it hydrogen?
Yeah, that's something like that. Hydrogen or... hydrogen burns, doesn't it? So we've got hydrogen and carbon. Let's take a look. It's hydrogen. Traci is all of a sudden on 1,000 points and in control. What would you like, Traci?
Let's do astronomy for 500.
Astronomy for 500. Among planets in our solar system whose size is known... Among planets in our solar system whose size is known, these two are closest in diameter. Which are the two closest in size of all of the planets that we know? What have we got? Mars, Venus, Earth. No. Yes. I used to go, my very enormous mother just sat upon... My mum did not like that, but so you've got kind of Earth and the one next to it, I think. What do you reckon?
Well, Pluto's the smallest, so that wouldn't be it. Saturn's really big.
Mars?
I think Mars is smallest.
Are you going for Earth and Mars?
So is Venus, I think Venus and Earth.
Venus and Earth, okay. Let's take a look. Venus and Earth is correct. Well done. Traci Austin, the $1 million man. There was a $1 million woman, wasn't there? A spin-off? Do you remember those? Oh, it was in the 70s. I watched the reruns in the 80s. Anyway, continue on. Traci.
We're going to stick with astronomy because it's working. So astronomy for 200.
200 astronomy. A 100-inch telescope collects 10,000 times more light than a telescope with a mirror this size. Oh, it's a basic metric mathematical decimal question. A 100-inch telescope collects 10,000 times more light than a telescope with a mirror this size. It's going to be something inches, which we don't use in Australia or Germany, but you don't need to know. It's going to be point.
So are we just taking 100 times 10,000? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I think so. Let's do that. So that would be what?
Yeah.
1 inch. Oh, it was the other way we had to go.
Oh. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind.
I literally thought 1 inch and I didn't say it. That's my fault.
See, you just got to go for it. You don't get penalised, Micah. It's not like the real Jeopardy show where you go backwards. We did have that, but people used to get very sad because they would get negative 5,000 points. Anyway, you're still in control, Traci.
All right. Astronomy for 100.
Astronomy for 100. The constituent members of a multi-star system or the constituent members of a stereo system.
Constellation.
Wow. It's another name for something that orbits, I think. And it also Elon Musk's got one. We don't want to talk about that guy right now. Well, let's. A lot of countries have them as well.
Satellites.
Satellites?
Oh. Components was what we were looking for.
Oh,
I thought it was satellites.
Oh.
That's the way I was going on about satellites. Sorry, everyone. Traci, you're still in control.
Let's do amusement parks for 300.
Okay, amusement parks. Now, I will add this disclaimer. This episode of Jeopardy, these questions are from an episode 1990. Most of the theme parks are still active, but there might be a few that are not. And how much was it that you wanted, Traci?
300.
300. No matter how many hills a roller coaster has, this one is always the highest. It's either like the first one or
hill.
the last one.
It's the first one, whatever the name of that first one is.
First one. Let's take a look. The first one is correct, Micah.
Okay.
Well done.
All right.
You're on 900 points. You're in second place.
So amusement parks for 500.
500, go big, says Micah. This park's theme is Pennsylvania's German, Dutch, and English heritage, as well as chocolate.
What is Hershey Park?
Hershey's.
Hershey Park. And you know the funny thing, Hershey is not even real chocolate. Well done. You got it. Micah.
400 amusement parks.
400 amusement parks. This company's Great America Park in Gurnee, Illinois, has the world's fastest steel roller coaster. Now, this is probably out of date, I'd imagine.
Great America.
Great America, says Traci. Six Flags.
Yeah, Six Flags Great America
Six
is
Flags.
what it is.
Yeah. Micah, you're still in control.
Let's go medical history for 400.
Medical history 400. In the 18th century, about 60 million people died from this disease, for which a vaccine was found in 1796. Back when we
the
used
flu.
What, the Spanish flu? No?
Well, I tell you what, if it's the Spanish flu, I'm going to give it to...
Was it smallpox?
Okay, we've got 3 answers now. Let's take a look. Smallpox, Traci, out of left field. Well done. Great job. Traci, you're on 1,900 points. Suzanne's on 200 and Mike is on 1,400. Susanne, there's plenty of points out there. You can come back.
Yeah.
Traci, what would you like?
Let's do mushrooms for 400.
Magic mushrooms, 400. A disused one of these in Pennsylvania now contains the largest mushroom farm in the world. Interesting.
The pig farm.
What was that? Pig farm. Plenty of natural fertilizer. Let's take a look. It's actually a mine. Never knew they had mines in Pennsylvania. Traci, what would you like?
Let's do city nicknames for 400.
City nicknames 400. The Eternal City.
Rome.
Rome.
Traci got in there just in the nick of time. Well done. Suzanne was correct though. Traci, what would you like?
City nicknames for 500.
City nicknames 500. The City of Light. Isn't there a movie called The City of Light about this city?
I actually know this city and I can't remember.
Micah, come on. It's in there somewhere. Dig it out.
I'm digging.
Digging
A
away.
lot of stuff in there.
I'm like Vegas or Paris, but they're both. I don't know.
You got to give me one. Susanne, what do you got brewing?
Paris.
Oh, Paris.
Paris?
One
I would-
answer. A answer. Let's look. Paris is correct. Well done, Micah. 18. So you're on 1900. Just behind Traci on 2300. And Susanne is waiting to explode and catch up. Micah, what would you like?
Medical history for 3.
Medical history for 300. The Greeks thought a man's body had 4 humours. Ew. Phlegm, yellow bile, black bile, and this fluid. I'll be too scared to answer this.
Semen.
Goodness me. Michael was that scared. He just went for it. Blood. Micah, get your mind out of the gutter, please. I'm just kidding. Micah, you're in control.
Let's go city nicknames for 100.
City nicknames 100. The Golden Gate City. Oh, this one's easy.
San Francisco.
San
Francisco.
Francisco. Well done, Micah. You are on 2,000 points. You are catching up to Traci. What would you like?
Let's finish off city nicknames.
City nicknames 300. The Mile High City.
Denver.
Denver.
Denver. Gee, I'm not going to catch a flight in Denver if that's what that's called. Denver is correct. Well done. Nobody gets my dad jokes. Micah, what would you like?
Medical history for 5.
Medical history for 500. Last one on this category. The family of this father of anatomy was from Wessel, from which he took his name.
Father of anatomy.
Where is Wessel?
No idea.
Is this Herophilius?
Goodness me, let's check. It is. Andreas, is that what you said? Andreas Velius. That sounds like what you said. Well done, Traci. How'd you know that? You're very clever. You're all very clever. But Traci, you're in the lead, 2,800, and you're in control. What would you like?
Let's do animals for 400.
Animals for 400. When grasshoppers or other orthoptera are stridulating, they're producing this.
What is stridulation or sound?
Well done, Micah, I think. A song, yes, or a sound. Well
Or maybe
what
to
were you gonna
produce
say?
wings?
Sorry?
No.
Rubbing
Wings?
its wings? No, it's when they make a sound like crickets and grasshoppers. We have these ones underground in Australia, and you can't find them, and they drive you crazy at night. You got it, Micah. What would you like?
Let's go amusement parks for 200.
Amusement Parks 200, the part of Florida's Walt Disney World that's similar to California's Disneyland is called this.
What is Magic Kingdom?
Magic Kingdom. I thought it was Magic Mountain. Magic Kingdom is correct. Well done, Micah. You're on fire.
Let's go amusement parks for 100.
Amusement Parks for 100. People who rode on the earliest flume rides complained when this didn't happen, so now it
Get wet.
usually does. Get wet? Was that Traci?
Yeah.
Let's take a
Yeah.
look. They get wet. Well done, Traci. What would you like?
Animals for 500.
Animals for 500. Varieties of these insects include bee, soldier, flower, blow, and fruit.
Fly.
Flies.
Suzanne! Well done. Pick up the mark. Flies is correct. You're on 700 points. There's just over 1,000 points left.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so it's just mushrooms. Yet let's take
Mushrooms.
100.
I'm pretty much dead on this category.
A mushroom, when it's ready to reproduce, releases millions of these.
Spores.
Spores, yeah.
Micah was quick off the mark there. Let's take a look. Spores is correct. Well done. What would you like, Micah? 3 questions left.
Let's go mushrooms for 2.
Mushrooms for 2. Traci, you're in touch. You must not let him get ahead here. It's orange, it glows in the dark, and it's a mushroom as well as the name of a Hollywood prop. There's no way.
A jack-o'-lantern?
Hello.
Like a pumpkin? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
They're
It's
saying
pumpkin.
that's a mushroom. A
pumpkin?
jack-o'-lantern. Well, that's what you said. I'm going to go. This is the official answer for Jeopardy, so we'll have to do some Googling after the show. Micah, you got 300 and 500 left.
We don't have time to Google on this. Mushrooms for 3.
Mushrooms for 3. There is no simple test to distinguish between these, so leave it to the pros.
Color? I don't
Tell
know.
you what. In Australia, a lady cooked up dinner with mushrooms, and half of her family died.
Oh.
Was it caps?
Sorry, Traci?
Like the mushroom caps or wild mushrooms?
Well, the answer is that some of them are poisonous and some of them are edible.
Oh.
Yeah. And actually, this lady, people, they say she did it on purpose and she's on trial for killing her in-laws. Last question. A circle of mushrooms in a grassy area named for the belief that it's where magic beings danced. Circle of mushrooms.
What is a...
Come on, Micah. You got it.
A belief it's where magic mushrooms dance? Magic beings dance.
Magic beings. A circle of mushrooms.
Is
I
it
don't
like
know
a
what that is.
fairy ring?
Sorry, Traci. Fairy ring?
Yeah.
Let's take a look. Fairy ring is correct. Well done, Traci. And Traci, with that, you have just taken the lead. And the game is over. What a finish. Well done, Traci.
That was thanks to
Oh,
my
wow, that was
Iceland
amazing.
last year.
You just picked
I don't
up
know.
the post. Well played, Micah, and well played, Susanne. Return all the sounds. Okay. Excellent. Well, let's go with Traci because you actually won the game. You want to kick things off and tell us what you're up to, Traci? Traci
Sure.
Austin,
So,
People Strategy
Yeah.
Podcast.
absolutely. So, how many of you love your jobs? Right. So what we do is we work with organizations to create fulfilling work for the folks that work with them. And as leaders, we have an obligation to create that. So that's what we do. So Julian, thank you for making work fun today.
No, it was my pleasure. And so, who's your end user? Who do you work for? Who employs you? And what is it you are trying to do with for these people?
Absolutely. We work with construction trade organizations and typically about 10 employees to 100 employees. And what we're doing is we are providing a people strategy roadmap for the organization to hit their business goals. And we do that through, different training programs along with some strategy, then implementing human resources processes.
Gotcha. So it's like HR consulting, I guess, would you say? And so just say a lot of these construction people, they start growing and then they don't actually have HR department. And what are some of the problems they're running into with staffing?
Yeah, absolutely. So much of it is the organizations we work with, the owner is still on the tools. So they're still out in the field. And so there's just not a lot of delegation. because, it's a different skill set. And so, some of the complaints that we hear is there's no good people to hire. People don't want to work. And so we really work with, overcoming some of those beliefs into creating strategies to hire the right people for the jobs and the organization itself.
And what, in general terms, does the strategy look like? What are some of the things you need to put into place for these people?
Yeah. So strategy can look like a couple things. One thing is it can look like an opportunity for folks to grow inside of an organization. So how do I go from a laborer to a foreman, or how do I go from a laborer to a very specialized role, is one way. Another way that strategy can look is the organization wants to grow into another market. So if we want to grow into another market, what do we need for staff so we can start hiring for that? But also, is there staff that we want to move into that market to retain them, to give them that next level promotion opportunity into that role? So
you help them identify these roles that they may need, and then you start. How do you find these people for them?
Yeah, so we are working with them to determine what is their employee value proposition. Why are they a great place to work? And, a lot of times we'll use some social media strategies, because we know especially individuals under the age of 30 are almost always on social media and typically do not go to a website. So we're figuring out where are folks at, and we're meeting them where they are at.
Interesting. And so are you doing paid ads, or are you just doing like viral content to attract people?
Yeah, so we're actually working on the strategy with it. Then we have strategic partners that we work with that will do the social media, or that will do the recruiting, or that will do those pieces. So we're very specialized in that strategy and training piece.
Interesting. And so you're working with, we call them tradies down here, but I guess you guys call them contractors, building contractors. There's all sorts of different types of contractors. And usually... is your ideal client usually somebody that's like a solo person on the tools, and they're sort of in a position where they're maybe able to grow, would you say?
Yeah, not solo, minimum of 10 employees. So yes, typically, 10 to 100 employees, and we're looking at between, 5 and 50 million in revenue.
Right, gotcha. So you're in that mid range. You've moved up a little bit, and you want to get to the next level and just start getting a strategy in place. Have a chat to Traci, because Traci, you specialize in that kind of construction industry, which is a good idea, because there's a million HR people out there, and it's always good to go to somebody who deals exclusively with your industry. So that's Traci Austin. Have you got anything coming up you want to plug?
Absolutely. We have our leadership development program coming up that will start in May. And that is an 8-week program for folks just stepping into leadership. It is virtual, so we can serve anyone English speaking around the world.
And so which type of people are going to do that? Is it your clients, or is it people looking to progress their careers?
It's an and both typically. So we typically have folks in it that are in some sort of trade organization that are stepping into that next level. So they could be stepping into a supervisor role, or we have a lot of engineering firms that we work with as well. So somebody who's stepping into that very first, engineering type role that has some sort of people management to it. Yes,
the engineers sometimes need a little bit of help with people management. Traci, that's very interesting. So that's Traci from Elevated Talent Consulting. The links are in the show notes. You can also follow Traci on LinkedIn as well. Thank you very much, Traci Austin.
Thank you.
And congratulations on crushing the game. All right, let's pop over to Micah. Micah, tell us a bit about what you're up to. I'll tell you what I like about you, Micah. Your slogan, fixing the mistakes that kill companies, that is so good and clear. How did you come up with that? Did it take you a bit of time to come up with that?
Yes, 20 years. It's something that's imperative, because there are so many good small businesses out there that offer great services and great products. But the thing is, by the time people actually end up learning about them, they've already failed and went out of business. So, what I do is I, over the years, doing business coaching and consulting, I've been able to come up with a basket of mistakes that are commonalities across all small businesses that they all make, which I call stupid mistakes. Now, on the surface, it sounds cruel, but it really stands for, it's an acronym for the 6 mistakes that business owners make.
Wow, this is, yeah, I mean, as a business owner, you have this fear of doing something, or a suspicion that you're doing something that may come back and hurt you. So I like the idea that you've kind of separated these out. Do you want to run through these stupid mistakes that businesses can make, and how do we deal with it?
So the first mistake that business owners make is they're slow to implement. Oftentimes, people run laps around them, even when they have access to resources of some type, or even go to conferences. They sit there and they get all the information that everybody else is. At the end, there's always that speech during those conferences where they say only about 5% of you in this room are going to implement what you heard today. And so oftentimes small business owners are slow to implement. The next mistake that they make is that their operations are too complicated. They clutter it with things that they believe will work. If something doesn't work in an arbitrary amount of time, then they just add another resource that they think is going to work with them. They believe that you can sell your way out of bad organization, bad structure. Can't do it. And even if you do have lots of growth sales, your business will collapse under the weight of sales if it's not organized. So that's the T, is too complicated. The U is unaware of their numbers. Oftentimes I see business owners that are just completely unaware of the metrics that actually move the needle and will get them to the next level, but also to organize themselves and prevent them from struggling presently. And really, small business comes down to surviving day to day and thriving. So are you going to survive every day, or are you going to thrive every day? And when you know your numbers, you can thrive. The P is poor planning. Oftentimes, small business owners have poor planning. They don't plan for the next year, marketing, budgets, strategy. It's all kind of fly by the seat of their pants. Where am I? S.T.U.P.I. So ignoring feedback is another thing that business owners do. They don't get feedback from their stakeholders, from their customers, from their employees. They don't listen to even feedback from themselves when there's that nagging suspicion that tells them not to do something.
Yeah, that one can sneak up on you when you lose touch with the end user and their experience. And when you're starting out, that's the most important thing. And then as you go on, you can sort of miss that. That's a good one. That's I, ignoring feedback. And what's D?
And the D is distracted focus. Oftentimes, small business owners end up getting distracted by something like 4 or 5 things at the same time, both trying to run an operation and be out in operation and their own ideas. There are so many ideas that they have, because oftentimes one of the core personality traits of entrepreneurs is that they're often creative. So they always have a lot of ideas that are running through their minds. So they become distracted with the reality of running their business.
Yeah, I feel personally attacked by that last statement. Yeah, that's very interesting. Well, that's Micah. And what types of people do you work with? What types of businesses mostly, and what areas, like as in regionally?
Yeah, so I've worked with people, and I've done consultations with people from around the world. Typically, small business owners who are grossing $250,000 and up, I work with, and generally I'm industry agnostic, with the exception of healthcare. Although I have done, I've had some kind of healthcare consultations, but typically my business coaching and consulting work, one of the things that we do is we kind of dive into what is making this business run erratically. How can we get the business back on track? How can we organize it and get it together so that there is an actual structure to it? And then how do we make it fly? So I created a couple of frameworks that I use to do that. If a business is struggling, we use a framework I created called the turnaround framework. which is also the namesake of my first book that's coming out. And then the second framework I use is called the Altitude framework, which is teaches small business owners how to, after we've kind of put everything into the appropriate structure, from sales to human resources, to their mindset and leadership development, then like Altitude takes them to the next level. So
yes, that's interesting. And once people put these frameworks in place, how many people, in your experience, end up creating positions to administer the frameworks? Do you know what I mean? Like,
well,
I'm thinking,
yeah.
I can imagine I need this. I need something like this, but I probably need to hire somebody because I will never implement it.
Yep. Yeah. So the answer to your question is, I kept my framework pretty easy. I consider my framework, and even the book that I have coming out called Turnaround, a successor to the E-Myth, which is globally recognized as a small business book. That gave like pretty high level, structure and functions of small businesses and what they can do. My frameworks are typically very implementation focused, so it only really requires an owner with the will to make it happen. And the stuff that I've created, the frameworks I've created, can be implemented like same day, next day. So they're not very hard to do.
Do you have it kind of on a scheduled time rollout period, like week one, this is what you got to do, or is it how does it look?
Yeah, it depends on where the business is. Both of my frameworks are designed to meet the business owner where they are. So the turnaround framework is obviously for businesses that might be kind of just breaking even or struggling or just sub profit. And then the Altitude framework is for businesses that are actually profitable but want to enhance their profits. And so when it comes to implementing things, that I will not put someone who's trying to scale into the turnaround framework, because it doesn't really make sense, right? That you have to fix what's broken, like we talked about earlier, and then we can focus on scaling. So, my coaching and my methods address the two biggest issues with small businesses, which is number one, fix what's broken. How do you do that? And it's not like a 45-second, Instagram ad. And then secondly, after that happens, then we focus on, like, you go into the Altitude framework, which is a series of goal setting meetings. So weekly, quarterly, and monthly, and then there's annual targets that are pursued. And then all the targets are measured with scorecards that are specifically developed for the business that it's actually working with. So we measure everything with scorecards because it's easier to do that. And the rating of those scorecards are based off of specific metrics in the business to know whether or not that business is hitting its what we call pillars, which are the goals or the targets that they're going after.
Micah, you have a very compelling offer, and it makes complete sense to me. And you're able to convey what it is and the benefits of it very well. What percentage of people do the turn around framework and then go on to do what was the scaling one called?
Altitude.
Yeah. What percentage of people do that first one, get fixed up, and then go on to the next one? Are you able to tell me that, or is that
No, I can. Yeah. No, it's 100%. Like I don't lose clients because of how my business coaching is structured. It's structured for the long haul. So oftentimes what happens is people hire business coaches to come in 30, 60, 90, 120, maybe a year to fix something. But the thing is, after it's broken, there's other things that need to be implemented. So normally when I have a client come in that needs to turn things around, they have to be stabilized. We triage what we need to triage. We make it work. And then we stabilize them, and then we kind of work on the scaling piece. So it's kind of all encompassing. And the price doesn't change whether they're here or there. It's the same kind of throughout. And the focus, though, is it's a targeted focus on implementing and working on something every single day. So when my coaching clients actually work with me, they end up having homework. They end up having things to do on a weekly basis. So from the time that we start working together until when there's a time that they move on, there's always something that they're doing to move their business forward. There's not like a day, there's not like a week off of, okay, well, what do we focus on now? What are we doing? Kind of twiddling our thumbs. There's always something to do.
Wow, that's cool. That's Micah, everybody. And I was just reading on your website, ruthless consistency. I love that. That is really what it's all about. And yeah, have a chat to Micah. If you need to fix some things, if things get a bit ugly, which they do, when I get my hands on them, and I need to get people in to fix them up. So if that sounds like you, get some structure happening. Pull out the roots, pull out the bad bits, and get everything to the point where you can actually get back on track. Because it is like a garden, your business, and you will get a few weeds in there. And this is where you got to get the professionals in, and don't be scared. Let them have a look at everything. And Micah certainly knows what he's talking about. So thank you very much, Micah. I'll put your stuff in the show notes if anyone wants to get in touch with Micah Logan. Thank you, Micah.
Yes, thank you.
Geez, I waffle a lot, don't I? Sorry about that. All right, let's pop over to wonderful Europe. Kos, are you in Berlin? Whereabouts are you?
No, I'm in Austria.
Oh, you're in Austria. You're next door.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, as soon as you said it, I'm thinking beautiful mountains and snow caps and green fields. It's probably not
Exactly.
like that, is it? Everywhere.
No, it's a rainy day today, but usually it's nice.
And you lived in Bali. That's kind of near me. What was that like?
I was living almost for 12 years in Bali. It was, for me, from the first day I entered the island, I knew I want to live here because it's so beautiful. And
It is beautiful. And food-wise, it's very hard not to get really fat because there's so much wonderful food. And it's so cheap. Did you find you saved a lot of money living in Bali?
For sure, you cannot imagine, you have a housekeeper, you have a gardener, you have a pool guy. I never cooked. And when I came back to Austria, I was in my mid-30s and I had to learn cleaning the house.
Yeah, you come back helpless like a teenager.
Helpless.
Yeah. Well, interesting. And tell us about, so you've written this book. Tell us about your book, and did you write it in Bali, Super Synchronicity?
No, I wrote it after the whole story. So you have to experience some stuff to write a book. And in my case, it's about synchronicity, and the title is Super Synchronicity, which is the next level of manifesting. And it's not about like woo-woo, don't be afraid. I have multiple businesses, I sold businesses, I built up businesses, but they all have one thing in common. So, for example, the boat, it started just with an idea, sitting on the beach with this famous beer, the bintang. So, I want to have a boat. I want to live in Bali. And the wish was so strong. And there are so many, you can only call it coincidences or lucky chances, and you meet the right people at the right time. And to understand synchronicity, is everybody knows situations like you think about someone and a few moments later they call you, or you hum a song and they play it in the radio. This is what I call everyday synchronicities. But if I talk about fulfilling dreams, it's more than that. It's these lucky twists or solutions. They come up. You don't even dreamed about it, and suddenly there is a solution totally different.
Yeah, it's funny you said it. It's not woo and all that, and this is something that a lot of people would think that I would not be into, but I really am, because the way I see it is, you get your brain can kind of into a free state where you can see things and act on things, and you don't have that kind of fear. Once you get the fear in your mind, you kind of just don't notice any of this stuff, and opportunities open up, and you can just have an idea and then go after it. So, I don't know, to me it's psychological. It's, how your mind is open, and how you're communicating with people when you're not kind of closed down. who knows? Some people say it's, law of attraction, whatever. But all I know is when, when you're listening and paying attention to things, all sorts of opportunities come out of the woodwork, don't they, Susanne?
Exactly. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And I call it the how addiction. We are addicted to a how something should happen, or what must come before, blah blah, and I think always all the solutions are there. The open doors are everywhere, but you don't see them. You're addicted to your how, or I call it like ambient noise. People around you telling you, "Oh, this is difficult," or "This is not possible," but it's not.
Thing, Susanne, that really strikes a bell with me, because it's like how you expect this is how things have to be for things to happen, and you just cannot get out of that belief. And if you can somehow just disable that, your expectation of how things are going to turn out, and when they don't turn out the way you want them, but when you can just be free from that expectation, and there's all sorts of other things that can happen. It's interesting. The how, that definitely is something that I have to sometimes check in myself, is to not let that sort of take over. Well, that's interesting. Super Synchronicity. When did you publish it?
The English version just came out now in January. And I just wrote it because after the boat was really like with a magic wand. But later on, I started a jewelry business. And this is when I made my first formula, because I started to thinking how the boat worked. This was like intentionally, but if you want to make it on purpose, so I started to make this formula where you go through like to change your inner reality. So I started the jewelry business, and it was really fun because I wrote the formula, the first one, and I went into it like you have to repeat it all the time. It's like a reprogram. And we went like in the first month from 10,000 euro turnover, and 6 months later, 100,000 per month. So, and last year, I decided to sell the business, and it was incredible because I did it again. And there were like business consultants. They told me, wow, you cannot sell e-commerce business like that, or it takes a year, blah, blah. And then I started again, and the buyer, I wrote a formula, like the perfect buyer finds me. He doesn't care about the numbers. He sees the potential of the brand, and he just buys it. And this is what happened.
Yeah.
And then...
hey, that's cool. And did you say to yourself, I'm not going to sell it unless this happens?
What do you mean? No, I sold it. It was exactly 23 days after that. I had the money on my account without negotiation. It was a six number figure.
Wow. Did
and
you have
they
to
just paid.
Provide financials and stuff of the business, or?
Yeah, for sure. It was a really good business. So it was not like nothing. The jewelry business, it was good with a lot of customer data and all that stuff. So it was not out of nothing.
Yeah, no, it was a good business. I didn't mean it. You sold him a dud. How do you sell an e-commerce business? Because there used to be websites where you could go on, like Flipper, and you could put them on there. How do you sell was it a Shopify store?
Exactly, it was a Shopify store, and I tried it with Flipper, and they told me it's so difficult to sell a business like that because it was a niche market. It were bracelets from Bali. So, and it was on my personality, and it was spiritual. The name was Wish Crystal Jewelry, and they told me, wow, very difficult. And this is what I call this ambient or surrounding noise. Is they tell you things, and you really have to get rid of beliefs of other people, because in my world I could sell it like this. And there are platforms exactly like Flipper. It was a platform. They're sending out newsletters. So it was €100 to come into one of these newsletters, and 3 days later I had the buyer.
Incredible.
And
€100. And did you have to pay Flipper 10% or something?
I think Flipper is charging, yes. But without, Flipper didn't work for me, not at all.
Oh, you didn't end up going through that. Okay.
No, it was a different thing.
Oh, okay. Well, interesting. Well, that's interesting. Super synchronicity. That's Susanne Kos. And is there anything else coming up that you want to talk about, or is it mostly the book you wanted to talk about?
It's my main topic at the moment. I have so much fun with it because it was quite a quick success in Germany. I had my old customers was more than 50,000 newsletter addresses, so it went up like this in Germany, and so I decided to release it international. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. Well, that's great. Good luck with that. That's called the Super Synchronicity, and thank you very much to the wonderful Susanne Kos for coming on.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thanks for playing, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'm going to wrap things up. See you next time. Ciao.